Hello, everyone. Oh, don't mind me. I just finished doing another reading. And, wow, me just saying reading reminds me of someone who just said, just because you got it off a reading doesn't mean that it's true, doesn't mean that. Does it? Other people's realities differ from yours, my darling. There is a certain point where these realities do meet, and there's a gray point there. In that gray point, you understand, or it is a point where you evaluate the gray line between things, you know? And then it all just relies on a matter of whether this person is open enough, whether you're also grounded enough. There is something strange in the way that we view our realities and our world. There is something strange about just going on with our lives, being born into a world already built by other people, built on their own personal, a lot of the times personal intentions, but also a lot of the times not personal. So a lot of the times also based for the people, for the good of the people, but it's also the question of what people. Because there is a level of segregation. There are levels for some reason. To who deserves what. To what is considered viable. To what is considered true. To what is considered worthy. Each person has their own view on this. It's what the collective does. It's what the collective thinks and believes that shapes the future generations. And not only future generations, but the generations current, now. But also, the present moment is the chance to help heal the future and the past and the present. That's why the present moment is a present. Because every moment, I won't say every moment, I don't want to generalize, but in the moments that you think to do certain things, like, oh, I should really apologize to this person for that thing because today I experienced something that they experienced, and I really should do that, and then you don't do it, and it's like, okay, that's one decision, and certain decisions tend to snowball. Or they find another opportunity to come around. Oh. Again, the Eight of Swords wants to come out. In my previous reading, it came out upright, in reverse. So something about seeing. Speaking, expressing oneself with the Eight of Wands here. Wow, 8-8. Yeah. Yeah, this is really beautiful. I all of a sudden just got tired. But what I'm seeing is 8-8. Feeling like you can't see, or feeling like you're trapped, or feeling like certain thoughts are holding you down. That energy is changing because you're able to transmute whatever the situation is into expression. You're able to sing it, you're able to create with it art or poetry or whatever it may be, writing. I see all these letters here. I know the lighting is not fabulous right now. Give me a second. I was also just getting this creation can also be in whatever way you express yourself, in your clothing, in your style, in your, just the things that you give attention to, in your hair. I just did my hair today. Well, I finished my hair today. I started it yesterday. It actually was inspired by one of my paintings. I'm also getting that. I'm getting that you also realize that with whatever creative outlet that you have, when it comes to ever being in this Eight of Swords energy, you know how to alchemize that. This piece of paper came out here. It was also my other reading, by the way. But this throne here, the fact that you are also on your own throne doesn't mean your throne of the world. No. This is your throne of your mind, of your world. And you have control over that. Never, ever let somebody else do that or control you or anything. Yes, you can take advice. Yes, you can listen to people. But never, ever forget that you're also sitting on your own throne. Okay? Never, ever forget that whenever this energy comes through where you feel stagnant, blocked, all of this energy being sent your way even, you always know how to alchemize that. You always know how to transmute that. And if it's not something that you always known, it's something that you're learning, something that's becoming more apparent to you, that your ability to create is so significant. Your ability to create out of that, out of certain energies like the Eight of Swords, is what makes you abundant, is what makes you, this like resemblance of these beautiful flowers blossoming here. Because look at the flowers and maybe think of those as all of the swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 flowers here, but maybe there's one that's covered by this thing. But it's relevant. Like with every sword, you turn into a flower. You turn it into a part of your garden, of your mental garden, of something that aids in you viewing life in a better way. Like that, I just looked at the flowers that I picked today. Look at these beauties. I picked this one a few days ago and it's still alive. Mind you, in this water, that thing there, it is a... Fuck, how do you call it? Smearwort. I don't think it's smearwort. It's a type of root that is very, very good also for making a paste. I think it is smearwort. Making a paste and using that to heal your bones. But look. Okay. You might be someone who also likes to have flowers around you, to also remind you of the beauty of what thoughts can produce, of what life can produce, of the beauty of the world, of the beauty of creation, of the beauty of Mother's creation, of Mother Earth's creation. Because Mother Earth is also a reminder of the metaphorical things that you can have in your mind and how you can physically show that by planting actual seeds that grow into actual flowers, for example. The Queen of Cups here. Is giving me someone distant. Is giving me someone that you don't know. Who is this and why? Ish. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. So this is probably a family member. A distant family member or distant relative or somebody that you considered family or in your tight group or someone that you considered a home. Doesn't matter. I asked what was their intention then. This was their... Oh, and then my paper just went sideways. This was the intention. When I say this was the intention, the Page of Cups, you see how specifically in this card itself, it's cut into two halves. The deep side or underwater side and the above water. When it's upright, this person, I feel, is leveled to some extent. They have the ability to have knowledge, their legs, absorb knowledge from the water. So deeper subconscious knowledge, their feet are in there. So they've been trudging and walking around that, swimming around that, whilst their brain and their upper body is able to transmute that, to communicate that, especially with the fact that they have a fish in their cup, which you might not be able to see that proper. But in reverse, obviously it's giving someone who might be too stuck in the one side, in the deeper side. Someone who cannot come up to the surface to breathe air and to maybe see things for what they are. Now we have some more light. Wow. And I opened my laptop and it opened on YouTube. And I've been listening to Tentacion. XXX 10. That's another X, so that's 4 X's. Tation. Nation? No. I'm trying to read it backwards for some reason. It feels like I'm trying to decipher. He's looking like this. This is the video Create and Evolve. Dark Drip YouTube channel. Tation. Temptation. XXX 10 10 10 30. But there's another 10 which is for temptation. But 10 is also X. So that's why I was saying there are 4 X's and then 4 X's tation. Temptation. Okay. So something about temptations. Create and evolve. Yes. There are certain temptations, ideas planted in your head. Maybe you also planted these ideas in your head. That sort of bring you to temptation to do certain things. To fall under the pattern of also not being able to follow exactly your intuition. Ooh, I just got butterflies. Interesting. So we have the 9 of Wands and the Fool here. Nine of Wands fell out when I was saying spotlight, moonlight. And it fell sideways. And the Fool also sideways, because this is making me think of you being able to create yourself, your way out. You're able to create that. It's just like your magical ability. It's just who you are, and nobody is ever going to be able to take that away from you because of your mind, because of the way that your architect of a mind works, because of your extreme attention to detail, because of your extreme, I was going to say pattern recognition, because of your extreme circumstances even that you grew up in, okay, that also helped you cultivate and understand certain nudges, certain intuitions that you get, certain things. And what I'm getting is that with you being able to create yourself out of certain situations, like the 8 of Swords, like being trapped, you're able to put yourself in a position where you don't feel like this. You don't feel alone. You don't feel like you've got necessarily all of these swords, you know. I mean, wow, swords and wands, making you feel like you're holding. It's not that, because you're not, because your mind is clearly free. This is, to me right now, looks more of a position of yes, I'm thinking and I'm figuring my way out. I'm quiet and I'm just taking my time to properly figure it out. And you have, because you're not necessarily being a fool into falling into something. You're not being a fool when it comes to creating something. Not fully. chills. Because you already know. Because you follow your intuition. Because you're also guided. You might be someone who's guided by, for example, if you see it like this, your ancestors, spirit guides, angels. I'm even getting God, of all religions. Even if that means how you perceive God yourself in your own personal way. I mean, that's also another conversation for another day, right? Like, what is God really? God is maybe just a consciousness that people have, and maybe God is just a consciousness that people try to keep as something unreachable, so that only a few people have access to being maybe even somewhat associated to what God is. And as I say that, I feel an energy being like, but isn't that what you're doing? I understand that. I would have probably asked the same. But as I also said, people believe and people see the world in different ways. This does not mean that their way of seeing the world is not entirely true, but is also not entirely not true. Just focus on what you believe and what you feel is true for yourself. Trust yourself and trust whoever is actually there to guide you, to help you, has been there to guide you and help you. Even if that's just your higher self. Who is your higher self? What does that mean? To me, it means the me that I look up to. It means the person that I always dreamed to be. Kind, elegant, generous, beautiful inside and out. Just be able to be one with the world, to be free, to not ever be scared. To not ever be run by fear. To not ever be a slave to that. To not ever want to change who I am. Or repress, suppress any part of me and any part of anyone else. Because of whatever projections I might have, grew up with, developed on my own, learned from others. Things that sometimes I also just don't want to control anymore. Like, how many times you end up on a phone call and whatever situation you're in, it just is so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous that not even you can stand the anger that you feel. And normally you don't do that, but you say something that you would have never said. And yeah, for a moment it's like, fuck, that felt good. Because for so long I've been the one to be like, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine if you can't help me. Because of what reason? when it's your job too. When people, make job such a big deal, so why don't you do it properly then? And then comes the question of, is it because it just isn't? For some reason, I feel like this I don't know. Doesn't matter. Did you see how I just no, in a way I kind of lost my track there, I'm not gonna lie. But I do know that you have the power to create your way out of any situation. And if you just believe that, that's all you need. If you believe in that in yourself, but also maybe in the universe, acknowledging that the universe is there, acknowledging that it can help you, just ask. Just say, please, universe, can you help me with this thing? Watch. Make sure you say thank you, though. Make sure you are grateful for literally everything else that has happened in your life that maybe you also never acknowledged to be the universe, that you never acknowledged to be your own creation, because of the actions that you took, because of the actions that other people in your life also took for you. Grace and gratitude when it comes to that is important. Give and take. Giving and taking doesn't always mean you need to give physical things. If that is one way you give, from the heart, do it. Give in whatever way your heart calls you to do. If that's singing, if that's entering a deeper state of meditation where you can feel it all and have a proper conversation and sync yourself and be one with everything, do it. The voices, the ideas that come into your mind, they're not random. Before I used to think that it was random. Before I used to think that my brain was just spitting out shit. I was like, why are you just spitting out these things? Sometimes they are relevant. Sometimes they're there for you to think about certain things a little bit deeper. And sometimes to even just energetically take the time to let certain things go so that certain things don't have to keep popping up. Sometimes it isn't even as easy as that. Sometimes you do need to get external help. Sometimes it just takes a lot longer. Sometimes it even takes longer for you to even acknowledge these things. The fact that we have 3 eights falling on top of each other. The 8 of cups. 8 of swords. 8 of wands. 8 of cups. This energy of infinity, of oneness. Ooh. of following one's emotions, one's own cups, letting them also carry you, especially when it comes to creation, when it comes to creating yourself out of certain situations. Essentially, they're all linked. Because if certain emotions lead you a certain path, they might also lead you to the Eight of Swords. But then the Eight of Swords might lead you to the Eight of Wands. But it's also like, if you had the Eight of Wands, you might also accidentally fall into the Eight of Swords. And then the Eight of Swords might lead you to the Eight of Cups, which leads you into, a whole different pattern of things and scenarios and choices to be made. But that's also the art and the art of creation. I think that's why I also mentioned my hair. Because let's just say that in following this, what I was feeling, I needed to release it. I needed to put it on a canvas. I put it on a canvas. I expressed myself. I let certain ideas turn into flowers, beautiful things that I could look at without feeling this energy. But in order to do that, I had to allow my feelings to carry myself. I couldn't, it's not that I couldn't, but just the ability and the fact of simply releasing without thinking too much about it, it does wonders in releasing, acknowledging, allowing you the space to reflect yourself, the world, the people around you, circumstances, your mind. The fact that we got the Lover's card twice today. In the previous reading, we got it in reverse, and in this reading, we have it upright, but along with the Five of Swords. What a surprise! Yeah, because if you allow yourself to be carried in certain emotions, and I was just reminded by this Ten of Cups in reverse here and the Queen of Cups, this distant relative, it's also giving me, there are likely, chills again. There are likely certain aspects of yourself that you're reflecting back to this person. Okay, and it's something that they also really wanted. It is something that they've been fighting for, whether that is conscious or subconscious. I think that's also essentially why the Page of Cups is also here, not only to represent maybe what was being done or done to you, but remember, those are projections. Because sometimes people also feel that in themselves, okay? So when they see somebody else able to get out of something that they were not able to get out of, because maybe they didn't have the knowledge or be given the knowledge that they too have this ability to create themselves a situation that gets them out of whatever they want to get out of. Maybe it's not, maybe it's even that. Maybe that there just becomes a shift in perspective where one realizes, actually, those swords were never there. Actually, this situation was never actually the situation. Like, I just needed to change my perspective about something. Yeah. Like, I'm just feeling that this person has something inside of them as well, that they've been fighting, and I think that's also one of the problems, because it's fighting. It's like, no offense, but it's also the way that religion treats devils, demons. Is every enemy your enemy? Is it really? Or are they also going through things? How are they also affected by the systemic, exclusion, the systemic, how do you call that? Ostracization. I don't think that's a real word. To ostracize, to make someone look evil, make someone look bad, make someone look a certain way. Why? Because they're different, because they're doing things differently, because they look different. Fuck. Like, oh, it's a demon, banish! Or like, kill it! Or like, it's a witch, set it on fire! Like, what the fuck? Where did all this aggression come from? Like, when did we stop doing things with love? And what's coming to me is that in certain moments when people do show love to people who might be so lost, and I just then I wanted to say broken, but it's not broken. People aren't broken. You are not broken. No. It's just you looking at the mirror and seeing a whole bunch of cracks in the mirror when really it's the cracks ain't there. Maybe there are a few smudges here and there. Maybe you do need to clean it. Maybe clean it more often, or change in perspective is what I'm getting. Yeah. I'm also getting an energy of leaving people behind with all of their swords. And also leaving people behind with swords that they wanted to accumulate anyways. And this person here can be you, or the roles can be reversed, but there's the energy of the lovers. Where is she going? Excuse me. She's going into this. She's finding love, my dear. These people who maybe felt like look at me, I got all these swords. It's just like, okay, congratulations, do you want a prize? It's like, yeah, good for you, because maybe it is something that you really wanted, like. Meanwhile, you or someone else that like, I'm getting like this is also someone that or experiences that might be happening around you. But yeah, I love how how the lovers fell on top of the 8 of Swords. Just completely covers that, and the only thing that you can see is the red moon, which is kind of looking a lot like Mars. Ooh, and the microphone just now. Yeah, action. Because the microphone lit up, it made me think of also speaking. that, you know, or creating in that way. Because we still have the Eight of Wands here, creation energy, and following our emotions, our inner cups of, our inner emotions, oceans of emotions, cups of emotions. Yeah, it's the walking away from this energy of I got all the swords, what are you gonna do about it? To, I don't really care about your swords, bro. Your swords are only real because you're holding them. Literally no one else is holding those swords, bruh. So if you want to be proud of the swords that you carried, the little battles that you won, be proud. And then what? Are you gonna want to put on the newspaper and be like, I knew it? Anyways, I'm gonna pull us one or two last cards and then I'll end the reading here. And I know my readings tend to sound a bit more like conversation. Yeah, if it's something that you don't like, if it's something that you don't resonate with or see the value in, I would say that's a shame. You know, I do think that everyone sometimes has at least a few golden nuggets to share. But you have to be open to seeing that in people, in yourself, in circumstances. I had to do the same. I had to also learn to be open. The only reason I kind of wasn't was because other people told me otherwise, gave me their perspective. And then when I sort of ignored that, I was able to find peace in the things that I was initially curious about. Because when I did delve into them or did pay attention, I understood exactly why I was curious about that thing in the first place, because it makes sense. Oh. We have the Hangman, and we also have, oh, this one was literally right there. The Two of Wands. This is giving me someone who's also, yeah, I mean, I guess also drinking their cup in a different way. And maybe even realizing that they need to, I'm getting just a hesitation when it comes to certain things, like also certain paths in your life that you feel you need to put action into. But what I'm getting mostly is that with the wall being here and with this lady looking beyond the wall, and her being so close to the wall, it gives the vibes of, it gives like a very visceral feeling of I'm about to cross something. I'm about to cross something that was intended to be a wall, a something to, stop people from going this direction. But you see how she's in front of it, and she's in the part where there's likely not a wall anymore. You don't know if she broke it with those two wands. You don't know if she found that wall the way that it was. And maybe it's different for everyone who's watching this reading. But there is something there in your life that's already been broken, that's already open, but is sort of just lingering there, and it's stopping you from, and I don't want to say stopping you, but it's definitely giving you a moment to pause before you start trekking. Because this also reminds me of those people who have those walking sticks. Where are you going with these? To a bud. To a pentacles. Okay, on top of the lovers. Yeah. There's something about love here too. But it's not necessarily, oof, chills again. It's not necessarily romantic love. It's a love that you have for the universe and for the world and for yourself and for the people around you and just for everything. It's just the ability to wake up and be like, ah, good morning, world. Good morning. Thank you so much for my sleep. Thank you so much for being awake. Thank you so much for the food on the table. Thank you so much for the beautiful sky. Thank you so much for the sun. Thank you so much for the clouds. Thank you so much for the rain. Thank you so much for the blood in my body. Thank you so much for my body's creation. Thank you so much for the creation of the body that created me, and so on and so on and so on and so on. There are like billions, millions of things to be grateful for. Yeah, and because that also fell on the Lover's card, what side are you willing to look at life at? You know? And I've had this conversation before when I looked at this card in different readings, that it can be perceived in different ways because the sun is here and it's reflecting on both, but one of them is casting a shadow on itself and the other is reflecting that light. Excuse me. And what do these pentacles even mean? Like, isn't the sunflower also important here? The fact that the sunflower has an eye might be a little bit more significant than wanting to frickin' decide what coin you want, right? So there's also that energy of realizing what is important to you, because this can also be two ways of income. You know, since we're dealing with pentacles here, also money, material things. But look at the thing that, is sort of not looking at. Part of, literally a sunflower growing in a rock in the side of the freaking ocean. Like, isn't that precious and special enough to be able to look at more than these pentacles? That's interesting, because it's also you reevaluating likely also the people in your life, perspectives. But in any case, the Page of Pentacles here. This Page of Pentacles always reminds me of like, or in this case, it's also reminding me of that energy of carrying this pentacle in your arm and sort of looking for a place to put it. And this, this again, chills. This pentacle, this pentacle energy is investment. It's a lifelong investment, I'm feeling. You know, this Page of Pentacles is like, it's someone who has the means, who has the energy, who has the power, because it's also falling on top of the Two of Wands here and the Hangman. So that pause, stagnation energy, which isn't really stagnation, it's like also drinking your cup of tea in a different manner, to also gain a different perspective, so that when you do finally decide where you want to put this pentacle, material, but everything is connected, bro. So whatever manifests materially is coming from also your ability to create. So Wands energy, your ability to think, mental energy, Sword energy, your ability to feel and know about and be aware of what goes on in your emotions, Cups energy. That all plays a role in where you decide to look at home, to see home, to invest in, to, you know, want to see the potential in and do things. That's what I'm getting here as well with, oh, this, it's went like this again to the screen, and it's putting me, create and evolve. Create and evolve. The sunflower, let's just say in this situation, has evolved to grow in the side of a rock, where minerals are a lot harder to access, especially when they're so fixated in the forms of stone. But have you ever read that book Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas? Yeah. It's a call to look at the thing that's already growing. And that's already growing, that should have been impossible for it to grow. And that's you. I got chills on this side. That's either you, your intuition, you know, someone else in your life, something else in your life that maybe you also forgot about, you know, something that could have been with you for a very long time even. So it's even could be a connection to, this might not be for everyone, but an energy, an entity. It might be a bit silly also to say, but you know, childhood friend even. So just the notion and the idea of how a childhood friend is born, how real it can be and how real it can manifest itself, is kind of crazy sometimes. Or at least, you know, when we were kids, it definitely was a lot stronger, I believe, for certain people. Certain people could have even sworn they saw it, could have sworn that their imagination overlapped with their reality for a few seconds there. I know I'm not the only one. So yeah, also just, yeah, I think you get it. I think we get it. I want to say thank you so much for being here. It is busy. It is busy tonight. But again, I want to say thank you so much for the people that were here to, yeah. I hope that you gained that you yeah. I was gonna say that you gained something, that I maybe hopefully helped with something. That's what I really want to do, because I started all of this, also being inspired by what a beautiful impact people on a screen can have. Real people with also real experiences and real feelings and real abilities to create, who have also gone through real, moments of stagnation, of moments like this. Real people who all they just want to do is help where they weren't helped. Listen where they weren't listened to. Give advice that they weren't given. Because now that we're wiser, now that we're stronger, now that we're more confident, and now that we believe in ourselves, and now that we also see the value in our own selves and our own experiences, that is what we're able to do now. And it's not about you thinking you're better than anyone, or it literally has nothing to do with that. It is about acknowledging who we are as a people, as individuals, and being there for each other. And in a way, being on a screen, being on YouTube, is like being there for the people that you can't be there for physically. So, if you did end up feeling something, feeling better, that is the greatest gift of all for me. Oh, I kind of want to cry now. But it really is. Yeah. We have a lot of people who like to take advantage of people who are still going through things. And sometimes, when I say sometimes, I also just mean, bro, we might not all, whatever, consider ourselves human. I don't know about peoples, but, at the end of sorry. Excuse me. I need to blow my nose. I still have more, but I'll get rid of that later. Let me finish what I have to say. Fuck. I forgot now. It's okay. I'm sure the point came across. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. You know, yeah. I'm sorry. So, yeah, once again, thank you. And if you stayed this long, because I've been saying thank you for a long time, or at least trying to, thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you next time. And hopefully, next time I won't be so sniffly. It's not something I can promise. I'm a freaking emotional person. And yeah. I'm not really that ashamed. I don't want to be ashamed. I don't want to live in a world where just because I show my emotions, it means that whatever I say is maybe not credited or whatever the fuck you think. If you're here, you're here. Okay, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for even to be in this position. You know, I bought myself a freaking microphone after ages of wanting one. Of being scared to ask for one. Finally choosing that in myself, that I want to have a microphone so that I can also create. So that I can also express myself. So that I can also reach those sunflowers that have been growing in rock. Or even just acknowledge that. All the sunflowers growing in rock around me, in myself, me, even you. Look at the time that we're in. So much potential. So much is already changing. Okay, goodbye. Thank you.